Hi guys, and welcome to the Boldly Ambitious podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Liddy.
And I'm Hazal.
We're doctors, founders, and entrepreneurs in their 20s.
And this is a space for the ambitious girlies chasing big dreams and building bold lives. And today we are joined by our very, very good friend, Dr. Faye Bate. She's a medical doctor, a content creator with over 800,000 followers across social media, and the founder of Heard, which is a platform where she's transforming conversations around women's health. Welcome, Faye. How are you?
No, you gassing me up like that. I'm not going to be able to get out the door.
We're so excited to have you in today's podcast episode.
How are you feeling?
Honestly, like rubbish, as you can tell by my voice, but very excited to be here. So,
and I'm so excited to just discuss this topic because I feel like you are the best person we could have got for this particular episode.
For sure.
One thing we've had the privilege to see is how you've just shown up authentically through every single stage of your life. But before we get into that, can you take us back a bit? What shaped your early definition of success and how has that evolved over the years?
So my earliest memory of like what success would look for me is my dad saying to me, I do not care if you're a doctor or a dinner lady, as long as you were the best doctor or you were the best dinner lady.
I love that.
So like, and also success from such an early age was defined as honestly like happiness and just whatever you do, doing the best that you possibly can at that. And I think like my mum and dad were not pushy parents at all. And they just, I don't know, they were just always like very proud of like whatever I did, on almost to a toxic degree. Like I'd come home with like a paper mache thing that was like falling apart and honestly just a pile of rubbish, and they would say, oh my gosh, Faye, we're so proud. So that's really shaped my definition of success.
So when you didn't have that pressure, which was a positive, how did you figure out what you wanted to do? Because you didn't really have any guidance from your parents, which I guess most people will turn to. And then throughout the years, how did that change?
Oh, that's such a good question. My mum was a nurse and my mum did not want me to be a doctor. If there was one thing, oh my God, if there was one thing that she would have like banned me from doing, it would have been being a doctor. I think if you work in the NHS, you see firsthand what healthcare professionals put themselves through. And I think my mum and dad put a lot of emphasis on happiness. They did not, they wanted me to have happiness. And I don't think my mum associated that with working in the NHS. So honestly, and then my nana was a nurse as well, but my nana had the opposite thing. My nana actually was a pushy parent and she was very much wanted me to be a doctor for all the reasons that she grew up on a council estate in Rail and just went to night school to become a nurse, and she saw that as the ultimate peak of success of being a doctor, as in like she has finally done her job as a grandparent, getting herself out of poverty. And if for her grandchild to be a doctor, that is the definition of her being successful in her role. And I think I was like, I rebelled against my nana. I did not want to be a doctor. I told her for the entirety of my life, Nana, put that dream to bed. You're not getting a doctor. It's not happening. Yeah. And then I got to 16 and I realised I've spent my entire life rebelling against my nana, but I actually know that what I want in life is to do something that I feel as though I've left the world in a better place than I came into it. I want to feel like I have done something that's helped people, as cringy as that sounds. And I love science. I'm fascinated by science, and that is
you walked right into that one.
Like it's as cringy as it is. Every medical student's personal statement. Right. I love the intersection of science and helping people. As cringy as it is, that I kind of had this eureka moment where I thought, God, I've been fighting against my poor nana for so long. And it actually is probably the most suited career for me. And then, loved medical school. Well, loved the learning part of medical school. A couple of challenges along the way in terms of actually, like, I'm sure you guys have had it as well, where you come from a state school, you come from a very different background to a lot of medical students. And like so North Wales is a peninsula. So basically, not North Wales, where the town that I grew up in North Wales is a peninsula, so it's just a little point at the very top of North Wales.
Okay.
So there's nothing to the left, there's nothing to the right, there's nothing up. There's only other towns in one direction. It's quite isolated. And I think that in my brain, I thought that some isolated views that existed in that area were because of where North Wales was geographically. And like my mum and dad did a lot of travelling before they had me. So, and my mum's Irish. Like I think I've always grown up with quite large or worldviews that recognise that there are so many different groups of people that exist across the world. And I'd say that I'm not a judgmental or biased or prejudiced person. And I think some of the prejudices I saw in North Wales, not to speak badly about North Wales, some attitudes I saw didn't really reflect like my worldview. And I had this idea that I went to medical school, I was going to be surrounded by all these intelligent people who weren't prejudiced, who they didn't have these views where, you know, people were voting reform, sorry to not make it political, but that's what, like, that is what my experience was. And my ex-boyfriend, when I was 18, said to my mum in the car, he said, oh, you know, like, if I could vote, I would vote for UKIP. And my mum goes, why would you do that? And he was like, oh,
you know,
well,
the
you know,
accent so well.
no, I don't. I actually don't. And he was like, oh, because of all the immigrants. And my mum goes, I'm an immigrant. But he didn't put like that. And that's, and I think, so I had this idea that like, I would go to medicine, I'd be surrounded by these intellectual people who had these, who were educated and weren't prejudiced. And then entered medicine and realised, no.
It doesn't get better.
No. There are like people who there are people who have prejudiced views wherever you go, in every economic space, in every like in every area of society, in every country, and you know, it's you can't escape that. But I found medicine to be quite a restrictive space, quite a traditional space. And I think that was where my heart almost fell out of it, because I think means doing something you love. But I think it's also creating an environment for yourself that fosters your best version of yourself. And I did not feel like in certain spaces in medicine, they were a good place for me. I felt like I was really having to conform to this ideal that wasn't in line with who I was as a person. And that's probably where I fell out of love with medicine.
I love that. I resonate with that so much. And I think one thing I kind of love about what you've touched on is something that I think a lot of ambitious women can relate with. And that desire to just be in a different space, a space that we believe will challenge ourselves, a space that we believe is different to where we've come from, and we'll have this different people that'll give us these different realities. But that's not always the case. The grass isn't always green on the other side. So I think one thing I want to know is, when you was in that space and you felt that disillusionment, did it ever eat into kind of your ambitions, your success? Did it ever impact you negatively and make you essentially dampen your dream of what you're trying to succeed to at the time?
Yeah, I think it created these self-limiting beliefs. It really, really created these self-limiting beliefs that like, you will never fit in. You will never be respected in this space. You will always be seen as a silly little girl. You will never be taken seriously. And honestly, those self-limiting beliefs did more damage to me than anyone else. And I created those in my head. Like that whole experience, it was only till, so my consultant in my last rotation, or my consultant in my last job as a doctor, we had like a really, really, really good conversation about why I'd sort of fallen out of love with medicine, because she was encouraging me to stay, and I was explaining why I'd made the decision to not stay. And she said to me, she said, Faye, you have to get these negative ideas out your head. Like, you really, because they're not doing you any good. And it was only 2-3 years later, after I had some negative experiences at medical school, 2-3 years later, that it suddenly clicked that the only person I'd been hurting in that situation is myself. And actually, some people might say this is toxic, but the only person you have control over is yourself.
It's true.
The only person's reaction you can control is you. And I reacted to that situation. I could have reacted to that situation by holding my head up high, knowing who I was at my core, knowing what my ambitions were at my core. But instead, I sunk myself into the sand, and I told myself the narrative that they had forced upon me. So that's been a big old learning curve. Yeah.
So you shared that you walked away from sort of the traditional role of being a clinical doctor to go down a path that was more authentic to you. And throughout that process, you've been very open about your evolving goals and your evolving idea of what success and ambition looks like. Can you talk us through what that moment was like, what it felt like when you made that pivot, and how you gave yourself the permission to make that pivot without feeling guilty? Loaded question.
I say without feeling guilty is difficult, because I think there's still like a lot of guilt I carry. But I had this really rubbish experience in medical school that I held on to, and it really defined who I was as like a person. Then I started working, really loved working as a doctor. I felt like it was everything that I wanted in terms of a career. But as doctors in the UK, you don't actually really get to spend as much time on specialties that you're interested in. And I've always been interested in women's health.
Yeah.
That's always been where my passion lay. My mother, when she left like ward nursing, she became a school nurse. So when she was a school nurse, she would do like the growing up talks for all the kids in our local area. So all these kids that I went to, like, that I'd see outside, out and about, they would all tell me, oh, your mum taught me about periods. And I would, at the time, I'd find it really, really embarrassing. But actually, they would also say to me, like, she gave us like giggle time. So they'd get to put in these really embarrassing questions into their box, into this anonymous box. And if my mum asked a question that was like a little bit funny, she'd let them all giggle, and like they would just talk about how incredible my mum was at teaching those things. And she never split up the boys and the girls. She wanted to make sure that the boys knew all about periods. And so important. And
100%.
That has always really inspired me, and I felt like I never really got the chance to really spend time on what interests me. So I was sitting in the car with my boyfriend, and he was driving, as he always does, because passenger princess through and through.
Come on.
And we were driving up to North Wales. And you know how you just end up having some of the deepest conversations in the car when you're both, you don't have to make, you don't have to make eye contact. You're both facing forward, and suddenly it's like everything just pours out of, and I just unpacked all these emotions that I had about what the rubbish stuff that happened at medical school. And came to this solution. I was like, what do? I don't know what I'm going to do next year. And it was about this time last year, and I was just so stuck. And then I said, oh my God, why didn't I do a women's health masters? Like, why didn't I just dedicate a year of my time to properly learning everything that I want to learn and learning the lessons that I know will make a benefit by basically taking my audience on a women's health masters with me.
Love that.
No,
And it was just like this epiphany, like a proper light bulb moment of a click where I didn't feel like I had to just follow this traditional path. I could carve out my own path, whatever that looked like, and whatever gave meaning to me. And yeah, I guess that's the most important thing, what gave meaning to me, not what I thought would make me look the best on paper.
I love the fact that you took us through that journey, because I think often, especially online, we see a lot of narratives that's like, just quit, just do this, just do that. But I think what people need to understand is there are so many emotions behind it. It's not easy. It's not like a decision you make and it looks good on social media and that's it. There is so much you need to work through, especially concerning your future and what you want for yourself. So I love the fact that you kind of you know, showed us that it wasn't an easy journey. It was something that you really had to think about, but ultimately you are prioritizing the thing that makes you the most happy, and that's women's health, regardless of the capacity to which that might look like. So yeah, I love that for you. I feel like it's so suited to you, and I think as someone who's known you for so many years now, I think has it been 5 years that I think we've known each other?
I actually think so. That's wild. That's wild.
I think you can tell when someone's walking authentically, you know, on a path that's for them, because they just start to glow differently. And like you said, it doesn't necessarily mean the NHS was horrible or you had this experience or that experience. Sometimes you need to make a decision that is most authentic to you, just because you don't always need a big reason or something needs to go wrong dramatically. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Have you heard of Ikigai?
No.
Oh my god, girls. Okay, right, I'm gonna have to really quickly just get this up on my phone. I'm gonna have to read it out. So Ikigai is the Japanese concept referring to a reason for living, what gets you out of bed in the morning, and basically it's the intersection between
you gave me a book about it, I remember. But
it's the intersection between what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you're good at. And I think
that's so good.
And I think what you're saying about you just glow different when you find that really like authentic like route that you want to take. It is finding your ikigai.
You're right.
And I think for so many successful women or like ambitious women, especially if you come from a state educated background, I think there's a lot of pressure to fit in a box of what success looks like, and the toll that takes on your body, on your physical health, when you are working against, it's like swimming against a tide. You are trying to make a square peg in a round hole, a square peg fit in a round hole, or a round peg fit in a square hole. I always get it wrong, and Dylan always corrects me.
A square peg in a round hole.
It's trying to make a square peg fit in a round hole, and you tire yourself out trying to do that. But when you find that ikigai, that passion, even if that comes with like a sacrifice in money or a sacrifice in time, even life just seems to flow better.
And I love how, you know, your ambitions changed quite a lot. Like, it's quite a big step to walk away from medicine, especially when there's so many people who want to do it and all the different things. But you stayed true to yourself. You were most authentic with yourself, and I think that's what we want to get across to all the girlies watching this. Is sometimes in life you won't, you know, some people won't just follow one path for their whole life, you know, the whole 40 years they're working. Your ambitions are allowed to evolve, and as you go through your working life, you are allowed to want different things, but you just need to make sure it's most authentic to what you want to actually do. If you're chasing other people's goals, or if you're changing what you want to do based on what other people are doing, it's not going to be authentic to you. And when you do make this massive change, you're going to always doubt yourself because you didn't do it for the right reasons. But we can all see that you've stepped away from medicine for the right reasons, and like Lily said, you're absolutely glowing in this new chapter of your life, and it's a change that made sense. It was authentic to you, and it made sense with your new passions and the new path you want to walk down. So yeah, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you, because it would have been so much easier to just stay in medicine and just pick up another job and just keep going at it, but it wasn't serving you anymore. And once you realized that, you changed it.
Was it difficult kind of, I probably not answer this, but was it difficult telling your family, your friends, your nana, your community that you are taking an alternative route that is not traditional but authentic to you?
Well, I mean, my mum has always had significant question marks over the social media stuff. I've been told for the last 5 years, social media is not the real world, Faye, and, you know, repeatedly told that. My mum doesn't follow me on any social media, so she doesn't my mum doesn't really use social media, so she doesn't see the content I put out, but I think that she has this vision in her head that I'm posting content that like perpetuates this idea of like putting pressure on women or like makes people feel crap about themselves, because I think maybe that's her idea of what social media is. I think if she actually saw what I posted, I think she'd be
more on board. She'd be following.
She'd be more on board with it. But I think my mum, obviously she didn't want me to be a doctor, but then after that she wants she would have wanted, I think she would have preferred I had security in a career. So I think that was a little bit difficult. Yeah, I think your parents still want security for you and they don't want you to be unstable. Yeah, so it was tricky. But I think I am quite lucky that they may roll their eyes and may clearly have some judgments, but I don't think they wouldn't have put pressure on me to do something that they didn't think was going to make me happy.
That's good.
Yeah.
So what would you say to the girlie who's watching this now, who's in a similar position but feels guilty or feels like they're giving up for changing their path?
I think recognizing that everything is temporary. Absolutely everything is temporary. Telling your parents and your parents being upset at you is hopefully, or most of the time, it is temporary. Or disappointing people is most of the time it is temporary. We live and we learn and we move on. And I think also, I think that not everyone actually knows what they want. Like, I think so I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, but myself and my brother, we both have ADHD. There is no way in hell I could work a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 in an office. Like, absolutely not. Medicine was the perfect job for me because it meant no day was ever the same. Your no day is ever the same.
You're always on your feet.
You're always going.
Yeah.
But it's seen as a successful job. So it's like I got I felt like it utilised my brain, but it didn't. It was great it worked with my ADHD. My brother also has ADHD, also state educated, similar background. Both of us, I think we wanted that traditional idea of success. We also wanted that economic stability as well. So he went into a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 job. And I said to him, I've said, you will hate it. Like this is going to be a really, really, really bad idea for you. Did he listen to me? No. And he loves like the outdoors. And I said to him, why don't you go and do like work a ski season, work on the boats or whatever. Go and do something that you're passionate about. And might not be as much money, but you can go away and then who knows, like you might be able to set up a business that relates to something you're passionate about. And in the long run, you'll probably earn more money and you'll probably be happier. His degree was in economics. Now, he stuck to his guns and he worked this office job. He's still working that office job. But then over the last few months, he started saying he went and he did a course to work on like the boats, like below deck and whatever. He did that a couple of weeks ago. And he's finally twigging himself.
Nice.
But I think before that, he genuinely thought that the most important thing for him is to earn money and be in a traditionally successful job. And if you're feeling that guilt, I think honestly, like you need to sit down and you need to reflect on whether you actually know what you want, because so many of us create a narrative in our head about what we want and we lie to ourselves more than we realise. I lied to myself for 2-3 years telling myself that I, like with these self-limiting beliefs, like we all lie to ourselves. We're all so guilty of it. You need to sit down with a pen to paper, do some big old reflections and really get to the root of what it is you actually like care about. Yes, that would be my advice. Sorry, that was so long-winded.
I think it takes courage to pivot. And I think one thing you touched on that I really love is the intersectionality that comes with ambition. There's neurodivergence to consider. There's, your race to consider. There's your economic situation, whether you was predominantly state school educated or not. All of these things feed into our limited beliefs and what we believe we must do for our future selves. But I think where a lot of us have tricked ourselves is we think that, we owe it in my situation, I owe it to the Black community to be the best doctor I can ever be. I owe it to, you know, my family, my parents, my family back home or whatever, to have economic stability. But I think as you grow and you get older, you realize that you owe it to yourself, your 5-year-old self, your 10-year-old self, to give yourself the happiest life you possibly can, to maximize your potential in different areas of life. And you can't do that if you're living inauthentically and doing things that aren't actually aligned with your identity and what you want from life. But I think it's difficult. It is definitely difficult when there are all these factors to consider, because I think whether you like it or not, your upbringing is going to play a huge role in your ability to shape your ambitions to suit you. And I guess it's about having the courage to sit down and do the work and take out the paper and the pen and decide that you are going to actively go against the grain. It's a decision. It's something you need to be proactive about. It doesn't happen by accident, but it just depends on how bad you want it and how willing you are to do the work and unlearn all of these things we tell ourselves, you know?
I think the whole pressure that we put on ourselves to do well for other people, to succeed for other people, I think it's so important to remember that you have to put your own oxygen mask on first. Like you
that was good. That was good.
And do you know who that came from? That came from my mother. But she would always say, "Oh my god,
we were meant to, but we were meant to go to Wales that one time."
Oh, I know. Well, you have to, you know, because she, like, literally, if that woman loves one thing, it's a saying. And all the time she's like, you have to put your oxygen mask on first. You have to make sure that you are taken care of to take care of the people in your life. Right. It's not only important to just look after yourself anyway. It's not just selfish to look after yourself. By looking after yourself, you are looking after your community and shifting that mindset. And it's not just self-care, it is community care to make sure that you're living in line with what you want.
That's important, because I think a lot of women were brought up to be selfless. God forbid we're a bit selfish, like not generalizing, like, you know, but when we look at men, for example, the audacity that they are brought up with, like they will walk into a room and demand, you know, what they want, what they believe they're worth, and, you know, a lot of them, they're not going to hesitate about it, whereas women were kind of brought up to think about others first and put others prioritize their needs. So for those who are struggling with selflessness, I think that's such an important point, because for those who are struggling with the capacity and ability to become a bit more selfish for themselves, that's an important point, because you are right in saying that if you look after yourself, you look after others. It's like us as doctors, we could not be the best doctors possible if we are having minimal sleep, unhappy, not eating well, all these things that we need to function. We wouldn't be able to take care of our patients properly. So it is the same in regards to kind of going after your dreams and your goals and what you want in life as well. I agree.
100%.
And I think there's so many layers to this, because I feel like also as like high achievers, as like high achievers, we are like inherently all like have a bit of people pleasing in us. I think where we high key, we grow up, you know, getting the grades, and everyone's like, wow, congrats, da, 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 da. So you just want to do it more, and like
the dopamine high,
without realizing you are seeking that external validation. So there's just so many factors to consider. But I think one of the things that I really would like to prevent, if possible, for myself is just to have regret. Like 10 years down the line, I don't want to have regret for something I didn't do in my 20s. And that doesn't have to be anything extraordinary. Just doing what I think is best for me at the time. Because you can never regret doing what you think was best for you at the time. Even if 5 years down the line that changes, you can always think back and say, at the time, that's what I wanted, so that's what I did. So yeah. It takes a lot of reflection, but sit down and figure out exactly what you want and then start from there, I would say.
The external validation thing, like a questionable, you know, ethics, but he did say something that was really interesting. Jeff Bezos said he never gets happy when the stocks are up, because then conversely he'll get unhappy when the stocks are down. And I think that is such an interesting principle to apply to just our everyday life. So like a stock is obviously an external measure of how well the company is doing, that doesn't really accurately portray how well the company's doing. It reflects how well it's perceived to be doing. So you take like your grades, your job title, whatever. If you get happy when things are externally going well, then conversely you will get sad when things are externally doing badly. And then you do tie this attachment, you do have this really, really strong attachment to the external perception of what is going on. Whereas, you know, externally, not working as a doctor right now, people might think that is bad, but internally I feel so much more aligned. So tying your validation to those internal factors a lot more strongly has been a big lesson I've taken out of the last year.
So let's dive a bit deeper into what you said. How did you stop tying your self-worth to accolades, and how did you let go of seeking that external validation?
Let's get into it.
So I think I have a list on my phone of all the difficult things that I have like ever overcome. And if I say that, you might initially think like, oh, graduating medical school or working my first year as a doctor. Like those are all like the quite obvious things, but I will literally put in there like learning how to drive, because I remember getting in the car on my first driving lesson and thinking to myself, I am never going to be able to drive this car. And I remember saying it to my mum, like, how do you do the clutch and the gear stick at the same time?
Do you drive manual?
Like, I did drive a manual. I don't drive a manual anymore, but I got my manual license.
Good for you.
And
I said automatic. I did.
Liddy's not part of our gang.
I'm not.
Fine. I had to drive a manual the other day for the first time in like years, and it
Ford?
was a big old van. No, that's electric. But a van, a manual van, yeah. And I'm passenger princess anyway on my automatic. In my
Did
automatic
you even reach
car.
the clutch?
Right. Anyway, going back to my external validation thing before just segue away from it, taking the mick out of my height.
We love you.
So I went out and I spoke to my mum and I said, how the hell do you do that? There is no way. And my mum said, Faye, like you will, like it will just click one day and you'll be able to do it. And yeah, lo and behold, 3 months later, I'm like, this is, I did learn how to do that. And what, like how, I don't know what percentage of 17-year-olds take their driving test. It's not anything exceptional, but it was that internal feeling of I am never going to be able to do this, and then I managed to prove myself wrong.
Wow.
So I think that externally that's not a great achievement. It's not, but internally I felt that huge growth. And I literally just having that list on my phone of just all the things that I've proved myself wrong about, I find really, really helped me with the internal, external validation.
I'm going to do that when I get home. That's so crazy. I literally love that. And I guess it's because as people, we tie what we deem worthy of applause and accolades based on how other people perceive us and how they congratulate us. So I think even making a decision to be like, you know what, other people may not care about this, but I do, is so powerful. I actually think I'm going to do that when I get home. That's a good one.
Yeah, do.
Yeah, I always say you need to remind yourself of who you are, because I think what we said in the previous episode was we get used to the new baseline of what we've done. Like after we achieve so much, we see that as a new baseline, and then we do more and then we see that as a new baseline. So we forget almost where we've come from and how much we've achieved and how much we've had to overcome to get to where we are today. And as people who keep striving for more, we forget, you know, the 100 steps we've walked up to get up to where we are. And that can mean that because we keep chasing more, we tie our worth to the things we're chasing. But sometimes you just got to stop, take a seat and reflect on how far you've come, because we're still in like our early 20s / mid 20s. Like we are really young, but I think we forget that sometimes, because especially with social media, there could be this pressure of constantly achieving new heights. We are doing a lot and we need to congratulate ourselves for that rather than, you know, keep striving for more without reflecting on the past.
You set the standard for yourself. Like I think you need to set your own standard. There's nothing wrong with being ambitious and with looking at those people and taking inspiration from it, but you ultimately decide for yourself what you're going to be proud of. It is an internal decision, like you said. So yeah, I think that's a great point for them.
If you guys have enjoyed this video so far, please make sure you like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're listening on an audio platform, please don't forget to leave a 5-star review. Today's episode is being filmed in the Myriad Studios in London, so if you're looking for a nice studio to film your podcast in London, please make sure to check them out also. So Faye, now that you've fully stepped into this new chapter, what does life look like on the other side of your decision, and what surprised you the most about choosing authenticity over approval?
Ooh, okay, so next steps, I am proud to say I have absolutely no idea. And I think getting comfortable in that place of getting comfortable in the place of it being okay to change your mind has been the best thing that's come out of this year.
I love that.
Yeah, like I think if I really enjoy the Women's Health Masters, I would love to maybe consider going down a more researchy path, maybe doing my PhD.
Wow.
There is still a part of me that actually, so I basically, really embarrassingly, I basically announced I was leaving medicine in this 10-week Instagram series.
It was great. It had me on my toes.
It maybe ruffled a couple of feathers. And then basically someone that I worked with saw this, you know, the classic when you post on social media and someone in your real job sees it and you're like, ugh. And they told my consultant. And this, like in a lovely way,
Okay.
like they basically said to my consultant, you know, Faye's leaving medicine. I think that's really sad because I think she's a great doctor. And I was like, that's really sweet, but why did you tell my consultant? So anyway, my consultant come onto the ward round, and my consultant is like, should we get coffee later? And immediately I am thinking the worst. I'm like, what have I done? Oh no.
What mistake have I made?
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. And then my consultant later on after the ward round, I spend the whole ward round worrying. And then my consultant is like, oh, so-and-so said that you're leaving. Should we like talk through this? And we had the best chat. And I think that it was probably the most supportive I've ever felt in the NHS. And actually, in the NHS, you don't get much encouragement.
Yeah, you really don't.
In the NHS, you don't. And it was the first time that someone had said to me, like, Faye, you are capable. Like, you stop underestimating yourself. Stop, like, saying, giving yourself this bad narrative in your head. And it really, really, really made me reflect. But so really, really, really embarrassingly, I think since that conversation, there's been a big question mark over whether I will like come back to. Before that, I was like, I am never coming back to being a doctor. I just want to go down this path of focusing on women's health, maybe going into research, whatever. And then her saying that to me, it really made me reflect on what I really miss. And then seeing all my medical school friends and them all talking about the hospital, I just have this itch to be back in a hospital again. And because I loved my job, I absolutely loved my job. And I think that this year break is going to be incredible to try and really suss out what is going to make me happy. Because I don't think I know completely. And I've got a whole year to just reflect on that and work out. And I'm really not sure. But part of me does like kind of feel like there is maybe a obs and gynae sexual health itch that maybe I would want to scratch. But I think won't be next year, but maybe the year after. I don't know. We shall see.
And that's the thing, like we think we have to stick to all these timelines on all these strict rules, but even if you decide in 5 years time or in 10 years time that you're going to come back to clinical medicine, like so what, right? I think we put these limitations on ourselves. Of course there's external noise, but you decide whether you allow it to become internal or not. And I think just you talking us through your thought process and showing how you are okay with not knowing, and if anything is, a lot of the time uncertainty brings us anxiety, but I think when you flip the switch and you're like, you know what, I actually have a lot of options, I think it can become an exciting thing. Obviously easier said than done. It's something I struggle with as well. I absolutely hate uncertainty, but we don't have to make decisions about 5 years, 10 years time now. Of course, as people who did medicine, especially when you enter traditional routes, we have been kind of conditioned to make decisions early about our future, because I'm not going to lie, you need to know at 16 whether you want to do medicine or not, if you want to enter med school straight after sixth form or college. But I think it's about breaking out of that pathway that we've kind of been conditioned to follow when we were in academia fully, and deciding for ourselves that, you know what, I'm going to walk according to my own timeline and things will unravel as they're meant to be, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the fact that you're comfortable with not knowing just shows how authentically you are walking in your current life. Like if you were really unsure about the next steps, I think that would have been because you are unsure about the steps you've taken currently. But because you are comfortable with what you've done, you're also comfortable that, you know, 1 year down the line or 2 years down the line, you will figure it out as well. And that's why being authentic to yourself is so important. So if you guys take away anything from this episode, just walk authentically to what makes most sense with you, and it will not only help you in the now but in the future as well.
It's even encouraging me, like, okay, uncertainty may not be that bad.
I know, I hate uncertainty, but you make it look good.
Yeah.
You make it look good.
You make uncertainty look good.
Do you know what the thing is? Like, I'm a evidence-based girly at my core. There's science through and through. However, a little bit of a big manifestation, a lot of woo-woo as well. And I think it's just the classic like abundance mindset and scarcity mindset. And a big privilege of that is obviously having a medical degree. I know I have a safety net.
Right.
So that allows me to have this abundance mindset of if all else fails, if Instagram, YouTube, they all went to pot tomorrow, UCL kicked me off my masters, I have a medical degree, I will be absolutely fine. God, I worked in a hotel, I could work in a hotel again. I worked as a lifeguard, I could work as a lifeguard again. Like, I will never be on my arse.
Wow.
Like, I will never, and having...
Tell them again.
I will always be okay. Or if I'm not okay, I will work it out. And I think that comes back to the whole sitting in my car, not being able to work the clutch and the brakes. I worked it out, and I have the confidence in myself, regardless of the situation that I'm put in. I will work it out. And that is that, even if you don't have a medical degree, that is my safety net.
Yeah, backing yourself. You need to be able to back yourself.
Yeah.
So normally we like to end our episodes with a one-liner for all the ambitious girlies. So what would you like to tell the ambitious girlies?
Dear ambitious girlies, do not let anyone tell you what you can or cannot do. Because in a world where Chris Hughes is going out with Jojo Siwa, Elon Musk is sending like self-drive, like Tesla are getting auto-driving cars. No one... This is a wild, wild world we're living in. No one can tell you what you can or cannot do. That is ridiculous.
Full stop.
Full stop.
Full stop. Point blank. So this is going to be from what Faye said earlier that I think was actually really powerful. And that is, dear ambitious girly, you will work it out. You know, like if you've done it before, you can do it again. And I think as women, we need to be more confident with backing ourselves. Our mind and our limiting beliefs will say one thing, but what do the facts say? You know, let's be evidence-based girlies. There were a few things in your past that you probably said you couldn't overcome, and you did. So whatever challenges you're currently facing regarding evolving ambitions, trying to be authentic to yourself, or anything else in this realm of ambition and life, you will overcome it because you're just that girl. Period.
Just that girl.
You stole my one. Did I? Oh my god, guys, I stole her sounds.
New one.
We literally think the same. It's so scary.
I know. Dear ambitious girlies, if you make sure that every decision you are making is authentic to yourself and is genuinely for yourself and not for others, you will work it out and everything will fall into place.
Amazing. Well, Faye, for those who are watching this episode and they want to connect with you and see what you get up to, where's the best place they can find you?
Dr. Faye Bate on YouTube, Dr. Faye Bate on Instagram, Dr. Faye Bate on TikTok, and her discussions on whatever podcast platform you like to listen on, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever.
Everywhere. Amazing.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I feel like I need to rewatch this episode for
real.
and take notes.
I'm going to watch him be like, cool, she said this.
Honestly,
thank you for coming on to the podcast, Faye. It was super fun.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you all very much for watching this episode as well. If you did enjoy this episode, please make sure to like and subscribe. And if you're watching on an audio platform, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And we'll see you in a new video next time. Bye.